Parents are calling it a punch in the gut, a painful reminder of losing their children to gun violence. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office calls it car creeping, when criminals go car to car pulling on handles to find one unlocked. An Indiantown woman died when an SUV crashed on the Florida Turnpike on Thanksgiving Day. Welcome to Today on 5. I'm Michelle Quesada in for Tori Dunnan, here with meteorologist Steve Villanueva, and tomorrow's the first day of fall.
Tomorrow's the first day of fall.
You know what that means? All the scented pumpkin spice candles get lit. The weather's been pretty nice, though. Florida's citrus industry needed a big rebound after taking a big hit from Hurricane Irma, but the obstacles keep coming. Oh, I've never seen snow.
What?
I've never seen snow.
It's right there.
I know. Well, I've seen it, but never been in it. You know, I got to do it. I got to do it soon.
Yeah, you got to go play in the snow. There's a couple of snow angels.
Yeah, I know. Snow angels, snowballs.
Oh,
it's not going to snow here tonight, though, I wish.
It's going to be quite cool.
A young boy is being credited with saving lives after he called 911 because he believed his school bus driver was drunk. If, despite every intention of moderation, you completely overindulged on Thanksgiving, don't panic, right? Do you like a good scare? I know I do, and I don't. Fright Nights continues this weekend at the South Florida Fairgrounds, and I'm joined here by creative director Craig McInnes, who's also an artist as well. You're a jack of all trades. You do everything. And we're talking a little bit about the cast of characters that you probably noticed behind us. Chuckles and Boss Bob are here to scare you a little bit today. Well, Michael, Fort Lauderdale has set up several water distributions here, and as you can see, this one has run out of water. There has been a steady line of cars all afternoon. Michael Kelly, the city assures the fire department it calculated the dimensions of their ladder truck when the streetscape project was designed. Christian Elmore was caught walking out of Walmart with stolen fishing gear. He told me he knew it was wrong. He says what he didn't know was that having 2 dead gators in his trunk next to the stolen items was also illegal.
Michelle Quesada joins me. She has been covering this case in the build-up to the trial and for the last 2 weeks, day in and day out. You were in the courtroom this morning, Michelle.
That's right, Michael. And as you mentioned, Newman Raja's face was very stoic as that verdict was read. Forensic scientists tested Corey Jones's clothes for gun residue, and that gave investigators an idea of the distance between Raja's gun and Jones. The city is proposing 18 more miles of separated bike lanes like this one, where cars and bicycles don't have to share the road. It's divided with marked lanes and street humps like this one. It's a little warm to be out at the North Pole, but here off Donald Ross and US 1, you could step into a little Christmas wonderland before Thanksgiving. Now, the trees arrive here on Sunday, but the owner tells me he's been getting calls for about 2 months now. Michael Kelly, before DeAndre Somerville was called for jury duty, he had never set foot inside a courthouse. He told me his goal was actually to stay away from court, stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, that also led to him not really knowing how jury duty works. 21-year-old DeAndre Somerville learned the hard way why you can't miss jury duty.
After going through that, it's like my life will never be the same again.
In August, he was sworn in as a juror on a civil case. He was to return the next day for trial, but he overslept.
I woke up and I looked at the time, and I was like, oh, shoot, it's past the time.
Mistake number 2, he didn't call the jury office to let them know what was going on. Days later, he was served with a subpoena to go before the judge.
I talked with my granddad for a while, and he said the best thing you can always do is honesty. So I went for the hearing.
DeAndre lives with his grandparents and helps look after his grandfather by taking him to therapy.
My grandma was saying, oh, I think you should dress up. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna wear my work clothes because I feel like at least he can see that I'm doing something. Because a lot of times people get stereotyped. Oh, he's just another black boy out here doing something he's not supposed to be doing.
But the 21-year-old didn't see what was coming.
I just said, sir, I overslept and I didn't understand the seriousness of this. He asked me if I had a criminal record. I said, sir, I've never been arrested.
Transcripts show DeAndre apologized, but the judge sentenced him to 10 days in jail. DeAndre said all he could think about was his grandfather.
He depended on me. So it was like, it's hard for him.
Judge John Kastronakis' order said DeAndre's failure to appear delayed the trial by 45 minutes, and the court couldn't reach him. WPTV's criminal analyst Michelle Suskauer says these cases are not common.
This is going to show others you have to take this very seriously. But this 21-year-old with no prior record now has a misdemeanor conviction. Could there have been other alternatives to maybe be more instructive and less punitive, it's possible.
He spent 10 days in jail, is on probation for 1 year, and has to complete 150 hours of community service.
It hurts, but it's like it's a lesson learned. It could have been worse. It could have gave me 365 days in jail.
The judge's order found there was no good reason to explain why Somerville didn't appear to court. We did reach out to the judge and are waiting to hear back. Reporting live from the Palm Beach County Courthouse, Michelle Quesada, WPTV News Channel 5.
Paid to protect a piece of paradise. A West Palm Beach police officer is one of many who get your taxpayer dollars to patrol manatee zones.
But instead, he is now being investigated, or has been investigated, by FDLE, the state attorney's office, and his own police department. These investigations were over allegations or accusations that he lied on his timesheets, and he's still employed.
WPTV News Channel 5's Michelle Quesada shows you what she's uncovered now.
During the colder months of the year, police agencies are contracted by Palm Beach County to protect manatees in our waterways.
Some people actually don't know that they're running through a manatee speed zone.
But in 2017, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement wanted to file charges against a West Palm Beach police officer paid to enforce manatee zones. An investigation determined Lieutenant Gregory Babcock received more than $2,500 in overtime for hours he did not work. Part of FDLE's evidence came from a fellow officer turned whistleblower. He hired a licensed private investigator who recorded Babcock at home on a day he was paid for 8 hours of overtime. Despite the findings, the state attorney's office did not file charges, finding instead that the evidence did not meet the requirements for prosecution. I went a step further and found documents from the 2016-2017 manatee enforcement season show there was only one weekend Babcock submitted written boating warnings. I tracked down the boaters.
Not only do I not remember it, it never happened.
I know it was a long time ago, 2016. You pull up records on what was going on that day?
I've actually never been on that boat and never received any warning in the past 15 years.
He said his boat was in the water at a marina.
They pull into the marina, they could write down a registration number on a boat that they probably see out here.
Another boater had a similar story.
I never got pulled over.
A third told me in an email, in checking my calendar and photos, I wasn't on the water the Saturday, November 19, 2016, as my wife and I had our grandkids at our house for a few days. Law enforcement expert Andrew Scott took a look at the warnings.
If you have boaters who allegedly were issued a warning by this officer and you've contacted those boaters and they have no recollection of this, and furthermore, there's no signature from that individual boater, now you have a significant problem. You have a problem of falsifying official documents.
In the last 8 years, Babcock has been disciplined for 8 internal affairs investigations, including one for, quote, loafing on duty.
I think the city has an obligation to go back in and investigate who's watching the hen house.
4 months into FDLE's investigation, Lieutenant Babcock rechecked his hours and reimbursed the city for more than $400 for hours he realized he did not work. The police department later opened an internal affairs investigation. In it, Babcock expressed concerns about the surveillance video of him, but the investigator found more hours Babcock could not prove he worked. New at 6, find out if the new mayor and a county commissioner plan to take action now. Live in the studio, Michelle Quesada, WPTV News Channel 5.
At the Jupiter Day Spa with how investigators were able to crack this case wide open. Michelle?
Shannon Kelly, a Jupiter police investigator, sat outside of this spa undercover for 7 days, documenting the amount of time men spent inside, then conducted interviews with them to learn exactly what they suspected, that the women inside were giving them massages and sexual favors. Hua Zong appeared before a judge with a Mandarin interpreter. Jupiter police say she's the president of the Orchids of Asia Spa, where female employees were caught on surveillance servicing men sexually on massage tables.
It was clear that multiple women were working and living inside the spas. They were cooking on the back steps of the business.
Sheriff William Snyder said Tuesday that the multi-agency investigation stems from China to New York to Orange, Martin, and Palm Beach counties, one that involves human trafficking. When Jupiter police started surveillance on Orchids of Asia off US 1 in Jupiter, they saw only men entering at all hours. They searched through garbage and noticed grocery-like plastic bags thrown away with napkins covered in seminal fluid. Investigators said through a warrant they used undercover cameras to record activity inside for 5 days and captured 26 Johns getting massages and sexual favors. The attorney for Hua Zhang, believed to have run Orchids of Asia with the manager Lei Wang, who is also facing charges, said the arrest report didn't prove Zhang knew about sexual activity, but the prosecutor disagrees.
On page 10, it clearly describes Ms. Zhang herself engaging in a sexual act with one of the Johns, which is male 15.
We're told multiple agencies will be serving arrest warrants at the workplaces and homes of the Johns involved. Some police say are prominent names. Reporting live in Jupiter, Michelle Quesada, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Michelle.